And it is showtime. Hello, everyone out there. Welcome back to the Attractions Podcast. I am Seth, and I am back. Carly is not here with us this week, but Blake is jumping into the rotation. Thank you so much. I promise someday Carly and I will be both in the same place at the same time again, but not this week.
Always happy to fill in.
Yeah, thank you so much for jumping in and sending well wishes to Carly, who's feeling a little under the weather, but I'm sure we will be back together again soon. And I was away. I'll talk a little bit about my unexpected, unplanned adventure. But before we jump into the actual recording, let's say hi to a few folks in the chat. I have missed you, Michael Bingham. Hello. It's been a couple weeks. Good to see you first in the chat, and glad to see that you are excited about Wyatt 6 coming to Halloween Horror Nights just a few days from the opening of that, and glad to see you were able to check out the UOAP nights this year on August 16th. I hear from people all the time who maybe don't know exactly what they're getting into with those UOAP nights. It's a nice free bonus. No one's paying for it, so don't have your expectations set too high. But I've always had a good time when I've been, and I was a little sad had to miss it this year. I was excited to see DJ Elliot Hansen had a couple of his movie cars there. There was a Back to the Future. I think he had his Back to the Future car, and I think his Jurassic Park Jeep there for people taking some photos and meet and greets. Have you ever been into one of these annual pass holder events, Blake?
No, I haven't. I haven't been a Universal Pass holder since I was a local back in my Disney College program days.
It's been a minute.
So
okay.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, they didn't have them back in the day, but it's it's a nice little bonus. And if you go, enjoy yourself, and if you don't, then don't, I guess. Also, here in the chat in Derico's Corner, Blossom and Michelangelo, welcome. And Michael McKay is excited to see you, Blake. Nothing for me, just Blake.
Hi, Michael.
And Brian Sager chiming in to say that he watched Josh Weissman's video last night ranking theme parks, and he ranked Disneyland as the best theme park over Epic Universe, Dollywood, Epcot, and Knott's Berry Farm because he's a professional chef. Okay, well, I don't know Josh Weissman. I'd have to look that up. I would say in my personal book, it would be a very close race between Disneyland and Epic Universe. But if you're a chef, boy, Knott's Berry Farm, that Boysenberry Festival, hard to go wrong with that food-wise. And Dollywood, we could do a whole episode on Dollywood's food. And when Carly's back, I'm sure we will. N says hello, back from Camp Moore. Welcome back. And all right, well, we've got quite a few people watching in the chat. Blake, what do you say we kick this thing off? You ready to go?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it in 3, 2, 1.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I am Seth.
And I'm Blake.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's been going on in our own lives. And Blake, I want to thank you very much for jumping into the rotation, stepping in. Carly is feeling a little under the weather. We wish her well, and we're sure she'll be back real soon. Someday she and I will actually do a podcast together again, because it seems like one of us is always away. But thank you, Blake, for stepping in. Why don't you let everyone know what you've been up to recently?
Of course, yeah, happy to step in, and of course, wishing Carly best of luck on her recovery and health. But yeah, I recently have been taking advantage of the Six Flags most valuable pass sale.
Mhm.
I'm local to Carowinds in Charlotte, North
Okay.
Carolina, so I took advantage of that deal that's currently going on where if you purchase a 2026, I promise I'm not sponsored. This sounds like a sponsored ad, but
I've been there.
if you purchase a 2026 season pass, you get the rest of 2025 for free. And
Mhm.
then if you purchase by September 1st, you get every other Six Flags park in the country included with that deal. So it's a pretty great deal. So I've been enjoying a few trips to Carowinds with
Okay.
my newly minted season pass holder status.
Excellent. If I have never been to Carowinds, if I visit there, what's my top 3 that I gotta ride?
Ooh, definitely Fury 325. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
one everybody talks about. Everybody comes long distances to see
Mhm.
Fury. The coaster formerly known as Intimidator is another big one of ours. It's now known as Thunder Striker.
Okay.
And then my personal favorite, a little bit underrated, is a flat ride called Electro Spin. It's
Okay.
like, I'm sure it has a name for the type of model that it is, but basically you're kind of on. It's almost like if a scrambler and the Kuka arm from Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey had a baby, and you're like up
Oh.
in the air like that.
Well, that's a baby I do not want to babysit. That sounds absolutely terrifying, but I will definitely watch it from off-ride if I
Yes.
ever visit there. I can definitely empathize because I also took advantage of my newly minted Six Flags / Cedar Fair chain Gold Pass. I picked one up when I was at Knott's Berry Farm just a few weeks ago and decided, hey, since I am trapped in Canada by an airline strike, took a little visit to see some family in Quebec and ended up staying almost a week longer than I had planned. So,
Wow.
when in Montreal, if you are a theme park person, once you're done going to Cirque du Soleil and walking around their beautiful port, you take a visit on a water taxi over to St. Helene Island, which was the site of the Montreal Expo in '67 and then the Olympics a decade later. And you see the biosphere, which most people will recognize as the grandfather of Spaceship Earth, designed by Buckminster Fuller, who coined the term Spaceship Earth. It definitely looks like if Epcot had burnt down and been left to get overgrown. No, it's a very beautiful spot, but it's also home to La Ronde, which is the Six Flags park that is most distant from Knott's Berry Farm. So I figured, why not go from one to the absolute furthest other park? And all I can say is that I will now have a new respect for operations and efficiency at Great Adventure and Magic Mountain and pretty much any other park I visit anywhere in the world. I've discovered a new standard of slowness for operations. I wanted to just ride one ride while I was there, and I found that was not possible because even their little Intamin family coaster, which is about a 30-second ride, was dispatching one train every 8 minutes. So with only 100 or so people in line in front of you, still looking at almost an hour, and I ain't got time for that. Um, but I will say a real culture shock if you were at any theme park in the United States where operations were that bad. You'd see one of two kinds of guests who were just glued to their cell phone and had no idea that they were in a theme park. It doesn't matter where they are, they're looking at their phone. Or they would be screaming and throwing things at the employees. Instead, in Canada, not a single person with their phone out, not a single person complaining. No theming, no shade, but they're standing for hours in a switchback queue, happy as can be, just chatting with their neighbors, having a grand old time. And it was definitely a very different experience than anything I've had at a American theme park in a long, long time. So it was a little eye-opening. Very glad I went. Very glad I did it. But if you're into collecting credits, you better buy yourself a flash pass there because the standby lines do not move.
Well, I'm glad you were
Yeah.
able to try to make the most of a negative
Yeah.
situation being
You know,
where you didn't
yeah.
want to be, but
It was not expected, but I think it was the universe telling me that I needed to unplug and take a few days off. But I'm glad to be back and glad to be home with my cats. They missed me. I think they did. I I hope they did. All right. Well, without any further ado, I think I've chatted enough, and it is time for us to jump straight into the news in the queue. All right, first up in news in the queue, we've got some news about new things coming very soon to the Magic Kingdom, and we are starting out with Beak and Barrel. Inside the new Pirates of the Caribbean themed bar at the Magic Kingdom, our publisher Matt Roseboom got a sneak peek with plenty of photos, including a look at all of the food and some of the animatronic surprises that lie in store. And I cannot wait to see this, but I think I'm going to have to wait because reservations are 100% booked throughout the entire calendar as far as it extends right now. So Blake, you got to write up this article about the Beak and Barrel, which officially opens to the public on August 29th. You got to go through all of Matt's photos. So tell us a little bit about what folks can expect when the Beak and Barrel opens in Adventureland.
yeah, so Beak and Barrel, like Seth said, Pirates of the Caribbean themed lounge slash bar slash tavern, whatever word you want to use there, which is a little bit controversial for Magic Kingdom, especially in comparison to, for the longest time, there was a very strict rule of no alcohol sold in Magic Kingdom anywhere for the longest time. And so now to have an entire bar in Magic Kingdom might be a little bit of a culture shock to some folks, but
absolutely. And just to point out that when they did finally introduce alcohol in the Magic Kingdom, they were very specific about, we're only doing this at table service restaurants. So people are eating like Jungle Skipper Canteen, and Be Our Guest was the first place to serve alcohol. But it was, people are sitting down and having a full meal, so they're not going to be stumbling around drunk. But the one thing I would not call this is a restaurant based on their menu.
Right. Yeah. So I've occasionally seen the word restaurant used by Disney to describe this. This is not a restaurant. I would definitely, if you have a reservation here and you're thinking, oh, we'll do lunch at the Beak and Barrel, plan for lunch, from some other place. They do have small bites, very limited food menu, but this is not a place where you can go and have a full meal. That being said, if you have your expectations in the right place, it seems like this is going to be right up your alley for the type of person that wants this type of experience. If you like Oga's Cantina at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I think that's a pretty fair comparison in terms of it's a very themed experience. Most of the menu is drinks. They have a few mocktails, a few small selections of food or appetizers, small bites to nibble on, that kind of thing. But you're really there for the theming. You're there for the experience. You may or may not have actual seating. You might be around people that, if you have a smaller party, you might be paired with other people that you might not know. So I feel like as long as you have your expectations in the right place for what this type of venue is, you can maybe enjoy it a little bit more than thinking that it's a full service restaurant.
Yeah, I think that the comparison to Oga's is very, very apt, especially, Oga's, it is very rare that you get a booth, certainly not a booth to yourself. There's a lot of communal seating. There's a lot of standing at the bar. And I assume that judging by the size of this space, the same thing is going to be happening. People are going to be crammed in like sardines. And if you want to get up from your seat and look around at the decor, you better be careful because your seat might not be there when you get back. That's happened to me at Oga's more than once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But I think people are definitely going to be wanting to get up and look at the decor, especially the animatronic pirate named Rummy. who seems to be a spiritual descendant of the Barker bird, who's famously stood outside the entrance to Pirates of the Caribbean way back in the day and made an appearance at the Disney Springs World of Disney. He's got maybe a cousin who's back, and he makes appearances about every 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm
a lot of kind
that's
of
going to
like,
be a big draw.
yeah, it seems like there's definitely a fair amount of like Trader Sam's style
Mhm.
things that happen within the space as you're enjoying it.
Yeah, speaking of Trader Sam's, one of the things that really stood out to me is these ships in the bottle. They have one of those at the Disneyland Trader Sam's, and they're kind of a callback to the ship in the bottle that used to be in the Adventurers Club way back in the day in the library, that occasionally there would be a storm and the ship would sink. So what happens with these ships in the bottle here?
I'm not sure. I
Oh,
will
okay.
be there on
I
Friday.
thought we had a video clip of it. I know I've seen a video clip of occasionally these two ships will have a little gun battle, and they'll shoot cannons at each other, and then one of them will sink to the bottom. So I
Nice,
think there
very
are
cool.
little animated things that happen like that all over the room, which is a little dangerous because I can remember seeing videos of the Haunted Mansion bar that's on the Disney Cruise Line, and people want to stick around to see these effects happen. They don't want to just drink up and move out. Do we know? Is there an official announcement about a time limit, like in Oga's? I know at Disneyland, after 45 minutes or so, or 2 drinks, they're pushing you out. So can we expect something similar here, I wonder?
There may be, I would imagine there is. I
Yeah.
don't know it off the top of my head, but I will be there on Friday, and
Excellent.
can maybe report back to you by the time the next podcast rolls around.
Well, I'm very jealous that you were able to get yourself a reservation. Like I said, I've been checking, and I think unless you have maybe a hotel reservation and you can book like that furthest possible date out, that might be your best bet for getting. We'll have to see what walk-up availability is like and how long the popularity lasts. Ironically, just now over in Disneyland, Oga's Cantina has just gotten rid of reservations and gone walk-up standby only, which is a big shift there. So maybe someday we'll be able to get into the Beak and Barrel without a wait. But when you are there, we've got some pictures of many of the drinks, including a few that come in some really neat collectible cups, as well as the 2 food options. They've got some chips and dip and also a dessert. What do you think is going to be the first thing that you plan on ordering?
I am kind of a desserts guy, but the
Okay.
sauces with the chips and dip looked intriguing to me.
It looks almost like a mini bread service from
Yes. Yeah,
Sanaa
yeah.
over in Animal
Mhm,
Kingdom
mhm.
Lodge. Yeah, which I'm always a big fan of. And um, I don't know. I think just to add to my collection of tiki mugs, I would have to get this Plunder's Punch that comes in. It looks like Jack Sparrow's skull. So
A little skull and crossbones going on. I know
yeah,
Matt said that was $40 including the drink.
you know what? I've paid a lot more for just a souvenir cup. So that might be on my list if I ever make it in. So you'll have to report back next time on how it was. If you want to try to get a reservation, you can look on Disney's website or call 407 WDW Dine. May the odds be in your favor. Okay, next up, in other alcoholic news, elsewhere in Walt Disney World, Jock Lindsey's, the bar at Disney Springs that is sort of kind of themed to Indiana Jones, has gotten a seasonal makeover and is celebrating Halloween with food and decor. Carly got to check this one out, sent us some fantastic pictures, and you were the one who wrote up the report. So this debuted on August 19th, running through number 4th. And what are some of the highlights of this, Blake?
Yeah, so this is new for 2025. They haven't done this before in the past in terms of like, I'm sure they may have had like a
I
few
think
seasonal
they've
items
done
or something like that.
Christmas They've done a Christmas overlay, I believe, but this is, I think, their first Halloween, right?
Yeah. So Lindsey's Jock.
Jock.
My brain was still on Captain Jack. Jock Lindsey's Halloween bar, new for 2025 at Disney Springs. Yeah, the most interesting menu item that stood out to me was the Alien Invader.
I just love these guys. They are so cute.
It's a chicken biscuit with little toothpicks sticking out of it with olives on the end. It's very reminiscent of, if you remember, the Mr. Toad burger that was around for the 50th anniversary celebration menu. It looks a bit like that, but think of it as like instead of a hamburger, it's a chicken biscuit version of that with a little pickle sticking out for the tongue.
Yes, and little pimento olives, so they have googly eyes. You gotta love that. And then my eye was caught by the Skull of the Dead, little looks like a pork, maybe an arepa or a tortilla, but with a syringe of bloody pico de gallo on the side, looks like.
Yeah, very fun. So just neat to see, Halloween mixed with kind of the Indiana Jones aesthetic of the already themed restaurant with another layer of theming on top of it. I think is always sort of cool and neat to see how they make that more creative.
I wish you got to keep this sarcophagus that the cursed mummy sausages come in, little mummy coffin. Wonder if you get to take that one home. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a bar without some specialty drinks. They've got one called the Spike Trap, which has got Malibu coconut rum and vanilla vodka, but it's got a little ghost that's been speared sitting on top, a little marshmallow. That's pretty adorable. Carly got some pictures and video that's up on our website showing you the decor. And it's a very mod, retro kind of almost 1940s. Some of the decor reminds me a lot of, in Islands of Adventure, there's the All Hallows boutique that has some of this kind of throwback Halloween decor year round. So go ahead and check that one out if you are over at Disney Springs now through November. All right. Now we are heading far, far outside of Florida, going all the way to Yomiuriland Park, which is near Tokyo in Japan, where the very first Pokemon theme park land is going to open in 2026. I know for years there has been speculation and rumors about a Pokemon land coming to Universal, but this park in Tokyo has beat them to the punch with what Pokemon is calling the first permanent outdoor Pokemon attraction anywhere in the world. But maybe don't get your hopes up too much because this is pretty small by U.S. theme park land standards. So Blake, you also got to write up this article. So what are some of the features that folks who visit Yomiuriland in 2026 are going to get to experience in this new Poke Park?
Yeah, so it's called Poke Park. That's the name of the theme park land within the Yomiuriland amusement park. So this is the first of its kind, but also if you're thinking like, whoa, Pokemon theme park land, it's not on the same level as like something like Isle of Berk or, any of the things that we see at Epic Universe or Islands of Adventure. Not quite on that scale. 6.4 acres. Most of it is outdoors. It is, by definition, the first themed land in a park themed to Pokemon. But as Seth said, not quite on the same scale as something you might expect from like a Universal park or something like that. But that being said, I'm sure Pokemon fans will be excited to visit. They said that there will be over 600 Pokemon to locate throughout the area. It's divided into two sections. One is the Pokemon Forest. It's just kind of like a nature walkthrough where you're going to be able to see some Pokemon. Another area called Sedge Town is a more developed area themed to like, you're there to meet up with other Pokemon trainers. And that's kind of the story behind that. That's where they'll have the area's two rides. They're going to have a Pokemon carousel and a like Dumbo style flat ride. But instead of riding in Dumbo, you ride in Pikachu. So that's kind of fun.
Yes, absolutely. Who has not wanted to ride in circles inside a Pikachu? Yeah, so don't expect a big, e-ticket dark ride if you want that. You're gonna have to wait and see maybe for what Universal Japan does with what used to be their Spider-Man attraction, because that's been talked about. But you will be able to go through this area and see dozens, even hundreds of different Pokemon all throughout the park. And I'm curious if there's going to be some interactivity, whether you'll be able to play Pokemon Go or do something with similar to a power-up band or an amiibo to interact with the land, because that's really what Pokemon is all about. It's the gameplay. But in addition to the carousel ride and the Dumbo-style Pikachu ride, you're also going to be able to shop in the Pokemon Trainers Market and the Pokemart. There is a Sedge Gym, so maybe that is some sort of like an interactive training combat gym. And there will be a Pokemon parade. So Japanese theme park goers absolutely love parades, so I'm sure that will be a big hit.
Have you been to this park before?
Absolutely not. My visit to Japan, I did Disney and I did Universal, but I did not get to visit any of these sort of minor parks. To be honest, these parks are very much made for locals. Disney and Universal are really accessible if you only speak English, but I'm sure that this will definitely be a local focused attraction. This is the first permanent Poke Park, but not the first Pokemon attraction. There have previously been temporary attractions in Nagoya and Taipei, going back over the years. And we got some links on our website if you are a Poke fan and want to go back over the history of Pokemon in the theme parks. And we will be sure to update you on progress of this as it nears its opening next year. Okay, and finally, we're going to talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, the Muppets. We've talked a lot about how they have been sadly evicted from their Muppet Vision home in Walt Disney World. They're moving right along across the studios to taking over Rock and Roller Coaster. But before that happens, this fall, Kermit and the gang are going to finally make their Broadway debut, but it's in a form that I don't think anyone quite expected. There's been rumors and discussions for many years about bringing Jim Henson's beloved Muppet characters to Broadway. Now it is finally happening, but they are not the headliners. They are going to be the sporting act, special guests of illusionist Rob Lake, who is debuting a brand new show on Broadway this fall. It's called Rob Lake Magic with special guest The Muppets, and it is going to open on October 28th at the Broadhurst Theater in New York, New York. It's only a 12-week run, so if you are a fan of Rob Lake, who appeared on America's Got Talent, or a fan of the Muppets, you better rush out and get your tickets quick. Blake, are you a fan of Magic? Are you a fan of the Muppets? Are you a fan of Broadway? Is this something that you would head out to see?
I am, out of all the things you just mentioned, definitely most a fan of the Muppets. If I was in New York already, I would definitely, if I was planning a trip to New York, I would definitely put this on my itinerary. I don't know if I would make a special trip to New York just for this, or maybe depending on how early reviews come out, or if it's a lot of the Muppets in the show, I might consider, oh, okay, maybe that might be worth taking a trip. But with the limited information we have so far, kind of TBD on how much Muppet stuff will actually get in the production. Yeah. But I think it's super cool to have the opportunity to see the Muppets live on stage in person. I'm assuming it's like the real deal Muppets performed by the actual Muppet performers. That's kind of the vibe that I got. It's because we've had the opportunity to see the Muppets live for example, at the Magic Kingdom and the Old Liberty Square show. But those were modified puppets. That was a pre-recorded soundtrack. Those, it wasn't like the actual real Kermit performer performing that every day at Magic Kingdom. It seems like this will be like the real deal Muppet performers who have been doing these characters for forever as a part of the show is what I'm assuming the vibe will be.
Well, I mean, for those of us who grew up with the Muppets back in the 70s, the real deal performers have moved on. Jim Henson, Frank Oz no longer, really puppeteers Miss Piggy. Dave Goelz, I think, is still around, one of the few OGs. But Kermit has gone through Brian Henson and Steve Whitmire and various other puppeteers over the years. But you're right, there is a core of the Henson puppeteers, and then there is, kind of not to say the B team, but the folks that they bring in for things like theme park performances. But the Muppets have been doing more live performances in recent years. They did shows at the Hollywood Bowl. They've done other high profile appearances at Disney events like D23. So I think this will definitely be done to the highest Muppet Henson's company standards. For sure. I have recently, there's been some rumors of the Muppets coming to Broadway, doing the Muppet Christmas Carol, and you mentioned that in your story, and that would be something that I would book a ticket. Definitely, just for that. I actually just made plans to visit New York at the very end of September, just before this was announced. So maybe I can plan a second trip back. But interestingly, while this is the first time that the Muppets have officially appeared in a Broadway show, it's not the first attempt to bring the Muppets to Broadway, and it's not the first Henson puppet show to be in Times Square. Little trivia for you: back in 1973, before the Muppet Show was even on the air, Jim Henson tried to put together a show called The Muppets at Lincoln Center. And when I first started writing about theme parks, the publisher of my very first Universal guidebook, named Kelly Monahan, he had graduated from Yale College and gone to be an actor in New York, and got cast in this workshop for Jim Henson, working on developing the show for weeks and weeks and months, basically more or less unpaid. And the show never wound up happening. But some other folks who came on board for that workshop ended up sticking around, including Dave Goelz, who became Gonzo. So interesting contribution of Broadway to the early days of the Muppets. And then many decades later, I became friends with Jim Henson's daughter, Heather Henson, who has a company called Ibex Puppetry. And I worked on productions with her that evolved into something called a Zizek on Turtle Island. And this was performed at the New Victory Theater on 42nd Street. This was originally Broadway theater, but it converted to a nonprofit performing mostly children's theater. So according to Equity, it's off Broadway, not Broadway, but it's literally more on Broadway than many Broadway shows. So a little bit of history of the Hensons and the Muppets on Broadway, and that legacy will continue this fall. So congratulations to everyone involved in that. If you are interested in knowing more about this, you can sign up on their website to be the first to know about when tickets go on sale. And you can find that at roblake.com/Broadway.
Very cool. I didn't know about either of those previous productions you mentioned.
A little bit of trivia for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to bring us to the end of this week's News in the Queue. Before we jump into the main attraction, it's time to hear a word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MEI-Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI-Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
And while we're at it, hey, have you heard about the Epic Universe magazine?
Our Epic Universe magazine is the ultimate grand opening souvenir for Orlando's newest theme park. It's got 64 pages of photos, vacation planning advice, and behind-the-scenes secrets from all 5 portals: Super Nintendo World, Dark Universe, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Celestial Park. It's not every day a new theme park opens in Orlando, so mark the moment and celebrate history with the Attractions Magazine Epic Universe Grand Opening issue. Now available at attractionsmagazine.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, for this week's main attraction, I teased at the beginning that we had lots of Walt Disney World and Magic Kingdom updates. And here they are. Our staff got to attend an event called Play and Preview, held by Walt Disney World on August 21st, and got some updates and in-progress news about new attractions coming relatively soon to Walt Disney World. And we're going to start out, since we were just talking about the Muppets, with more Muppet news. We've got some more details about the Muppet Takeover of Rock and Roller Coaster, currently starring Aerosmith, soon to star Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. They are going to be reopening that ride in 2026 at a date that is yet to be announced. But we've got concept art of the pre-show that makes me very, very happy. So Blake, why don't you describe, folks, what it is, since you wrote up this article, that we are going to see after Steven Tyler and the band move out.
Yeah, so this is unique in the theme park, I guess, storytelling approach, in that it seems like this story of the Muppets at Rock and Roller Coaster narratively follows the existing storyline within the lore, meaning that the Muppets are taking over G-Force Records. G-Force Records is the current establishment that you walk through when you're walking through the queue. It's a music studio within Hollywood somewhere. And within this lore, Scooter's uncle, who owns the Muppet Theater way back from the Muppet Show in the 70s, he has purchased G-Force Records. So the continuity of that kind of lives on in a very meta way. So
that's kind of a deep cut, because that's something that they referenced a lot in the first few seasons of the Muppet Show. But like, I don't think people remember that Scooter only got his job because his uncle owned the theater.
Right. So like Seth said, we don't have an opening date for this. Rock and Roller Coaster, as it stands right now, is still open and operational. It will continue to be open through at least the end of 2025. And we know that this is coming sometime in 2026. So whatever the turnaround time will be, it will be pretty quick, at least within, less than a year whenever this transformation happens. But basically the new information that we got last week was a really neat piece of concept art showing the pre-show area. If you can think to the existing pre-show where you're in the recording studio area and you see Aerosmith in the recording booth, that setup will be pretty similar, but instead of Aerosmith, you'll see Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem Band. You'll have screens on either side of that with Kermit and Miss Piggy, but in the foreground, most exciting, we'll have audio animatronic figures of Scooter, who is the band's manager within the Muppets lore, as well as Penguin audio engineers as animatronics, which I'm sure will probably be
recycled
from the Muppet Vision 3D show.
I am very certain that those penguins will be getting a new life from the old show. And Scooter, we've not previously had a Scooter animatronic, but it would not shock me if that was a reskinned Bean Bunny. That would not surprise me at all.
Okay.
I am assuming that Dr. Teeth and the band behind the window there are going to be a Musin hologram or high definition screen of some sort. But what I thought was kind of interesting is they've sort of flipped it around. In the current ride, You are standing in the area where the band would be to play, and the screen represents the audio engineer back behind the window. Now they flipped it around, so the audio engineers are on your side of the window, and the band is in the recording booth on the far side. So that kind of flips the flow of it back a little. That's a pretty nerdy note there. We're also getting a nice new paint job on the guitar that is out front. And they're even painting one of the keys on the keyboard out front gold to match Dr. Teeth's grill. So they had the Muppets themselves out, including Bill Beretta, Eric Jacobson, Matt Vogel, and Dave Rudman, all of whom are, as you said, people who've been with the Muppets for decades. So great to see that they are bringing the A-Team out for this attraction. Next up, coming very soon on November 7th, Zootopia Better Zoogether is going to debut inside the Tree of Life at Disney's Animal Kingdom. This is the new 3D show that replaced It's Tough to Be a Bug. And you will be able to watch this in Carrot Vision. I always love when they come up with a story concept to explain why we're wearing 3D glasses. And something other than safety goggles, please. And so we are going to be viewing this in Carrot Vision 3D technology presented by the Hops Family Farm. And this has a brand new character called Heidi Howler, who's a wolf, who's going to be our host. And it is going to use an animatronic figure that looks very similar to the one that they have in Shanghai Disneyland. Is this one you are excited for, Blake?
Yeah, so the I guess we should mention the animatronic is of Officer Clawhauser.
Yes, thank you.
He's going to be kind of like where Hopper was within the theater previously. Yeah, I did enjoy It's Tough to Be a Bug. I you know, it was always, I think it just took people by surprise how intense it was. And that was kind of sometimes fun to watch evolve within the theater. I don't know if, maybe they could surprise us, but this seems to be a little bit friendlier than It's Tough to Be a Bug was.
I love the humor of It's Tough to Be a Bug, and I think it really pushed 4D technology forward for its time. But dear God, short of Alien Encounter, it has got to be, for little kids, the most terrifying ride or attraction. You are attacked from above by spiders. You are jabbed in the back by wasps. And then you have bugs crawl under your butt before you get to leave.
The whole room
was really just
fog, too.
Yeah,
I mean, just you can't see when that fog came rolling in.
Yeah. When I write the unofficial guides, and we would get letters from people who took little children to that attraction. It'd be like, this 4D attraction is about 2Ds too many for my kid. Just just overwhelming. So I anticipate while there will still be plenty of 4D effects, they will be maybe a little friendlier. We actually have some more details in a separate article going into this. We've got logos and posters for the attraction, and a little information teasing what some of the experiences we're going to have during it. You're going to explore different animal biomes, and each one is going to have its own performing act, sort of like a circus. We're going to visit Little Rodentia with the Shrew Angels, who are little mouse-like creatures that fly in drones. We're going to see swimming marsh maids in the Marsh Market. Take a trip to Tundra Town, where the Predator and Prey Ice Ballet will skate around us. And then finally get to visit Sahara Square for a performance by the one and only Gazelle. It looks like a lot of fun. Like you said, it's going to have what we expect to be a pretty impressive animatronic of Officer Clawhauser. And if this gets you excited for more Zootopia, you can meet Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde right outside the attraction. We're not sure exactly where in Discovery Island, but it's going to be called the Zoo Gathering Spot. Not sure if that's going to take over from the Up meet and greet with Doug, or if that's going to maybe be a new spot. There's lots of little pathways all around Discovery Island, so I'm sure they can find somewhere for them. Okay, moving on from Zootopia. The next big news is that Big Thunder Mountain is coming back sometime in 2026. It's had a massive closure. It'll be closed for over a year when all is said and done. But we have a tease of something we're going to see inside the attraction when it reopens, and that is Rainbow Caverns, a colorful tribute to the Disneyland attraction, Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, which itself was taken over in Disneyland by their version of Big Thunder Mountain. So this is kind of a full circle moment for Big Thunder. We've got some concept art up of this, and Blake, I want to know your take on this, because while I'm always happy to get new concept art, and I love the color of this, this looks an awful lot like the exact same caverns that we see on the first lift hill of Big Thunder since it opened decades and decades ago. And I see new lighting, but I'm not sure what else I'm looking at. What do you think?
Yeah, so it seems like there's some sort of show scene that happens within this cavern. I don't know that the train will actually stop for like a full moment to unfold, but it seems like when we arrive, the caverns are in their rainbow colors, and then something happens that turns everything red, and it's clear to us that something has gone wrong, as you know, very often is the case on these theme park rides that we get ourselves into, these odd jobs where just everything goes wrong. So that seems to be the case with this, but when we arrive, it'll be rainbow colors, and then it'll switch. Everything will become red and orange, and then the ride will progress from there.
Thank you for solving that for me, because I've been looking at these two pieces of concept art, and I didn't realize that it was before and after. That makes a lot of sense, kind of tying into them enhancing the storyline, which is much more clear in the Disneyland Paris version of the ride, of the curse of Big Thunder Mountain and us angering the spirits by exploring this mine train. Currently at Forever and a Day, when you ride Big Thunder, as you approach the very first lift hill, first you're in a cavern, a dark space, and you can faintly see some bats flying around. And then as you go up the lift hill, you look off to the side, and there have always been these pools that have kind of a dripping water effect. They kind of ripple with different colors. So I guess from what you're explaining, which makes perfect sense to me, that effect will be much more colorful, much more vibrant as we're first going up. And then at some point, oops, we shouldn't be here. You looked into the eyes of Mara, and everything will go from bright and colorful to scary lava colors, and the bat's eyes will light up and get angry at us. So that sounds like a great way to kick off the ride. But I'll be honest, this was not the lift hill that I was worried about. I want to know what's happening in the final lift hill, where in California they have a fantastic projection mapping and fog effect for exploding dynamite. I want, if not the same effect, I want something just as spectacular for our finale. All right. And then on the other side of the Magic Kingdom, in Tomorrowland, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin is currently shut down. It closed earlier in August, but it will be back in 2026 with brand new ride vehicles that have more controllable guns, thank God, that has updated scoring panels that no longer max you out so quickly, and new targets that will hopefully make the gameplay for this a lot more fun. This is actually a change I'm really looking forward to, because I always like the Disneyland version better. because you can actually hold the gun in your hand and move it all the way around as opposed to being locked onto the vehicle. So that alone makes a big upgrade for me. Are you a Buzz Lightyear fan?
I am. So like Toy Story was like my movie
Uh-huh.
growing up. Like that was my all-time favorite. And it always kind of seemed like to me once Toy Story Mania opened, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin almost kind of seemed a little bit obsolete by comparison. So I'm really glad this is getting an upgrade. Certainly not that it's exactly a 1-for-1, but a similar blaster ride recently got a big upgrade at Carowinds called Boo Blasters with similar kind of infrastructure updates that they're talking about here, where more flexibility with the blasters, easier, not necessarily easier, but more high-tech targets to aim at, more effects that happen when you hit the targets, that kind of thing. And it's just night and day, the biggest upgrade, the same exact attraction, same exact story, but the upgrade in the tech to bring it up to today's standards makes all the difference.
Yeah, the ride path for this is going to be unchanged, and it's been unchanged basically since 1971, because the infrastructure for this ride goes all the way back to if you had wings, which then became Delta Dream Flight, which I think first sponsored by Eastern Airlines as like basically a travelogue omnimover advertisement for booking a plane flight back in the days of edutainment in Tomorrowland. And even though that attraction has been long gone, the speed tunnel that you go through towards the end of this ride still goes back to that. So I expect they'll be sprucing up the sets a bit, new targets, of course. And the most important thing to me is these guns, from what I hear, will project a colored dot, so you will know where you are aiming and which is your laser as opposed to someone else's laser. And that will make it, I think, a lot easier to aim, a lot more fun. Feel like, if you score badly now, it'll be your fault and not the ride. So, yeah, I'm happy. They've been renovating these kind of all over. The one that opened in Hong Kong got turned into an Ant-Man ride, which is my least favorite version of this attraction anywhere. The one in Tokyo is getting turned into Wreck-It Ralph.
That's right.
So I'm happy for Toy Story fans. It would have been easy for them to say, let's find a new IP since we have Toy Story Mania in the other park. But thankfully for Toy Story fans, Buzz Lightyear is still in the house. We have a full presentation, a full half-hour video up describing all of these new attractions and updated attractions. So go ahead to our website, attractionsmagazine.com, and check them out. Ooh, well, that will just about bring us to the end of our show. But before we go, let's check in and see if we have any comments. N is wondering if we are excited for Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets to officially open this year. And I believe we are both pretty excited to see that happen. I got to admit, I like a few Aerosmith songs, but I welcome the Muppets. I welcome our new puppet of overlords. Michael Bingham was very excited by our report on Halloween at Jock Lindsey's. He's going to have to stop by and check that out at Disney Springs, as well as all the other changes. It is going to be a fun year coming up in Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World. I agree. All right. Before we go, we want to take another moment to thank our sponsors, MEI and MEI-Travel, and to remind you to check out our Epic Universe book at Epic Universe magazine at our website. Also, we'd like to remind you to give us a rating and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you happen to listen to us, and to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also, please be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com and search Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media accounts. Blake, where can folks follow you and us on the interwebs?
Yes, so I'm the managing editor of our content and our team of writers at attractionsmagazine.com. So all our digital written content I oversee, and we have a lot of it coming your way. We are currently recording this on Monday, August 25th. It's about to be a super packed week of theme park coverage, particularly in Orlando. So Thursday is premium Scream Night for Halloween Horror Nights and the kickoff of Epcot Food and Wine Festival. Friday is opening night of Halloween Horror Nights. And
I will be there.
Seth will be there, and I will be covering Destination D23, which kicks off on Friday at Walt Disney World, the Disney convention, and continues through the weekend. So lots and lots of things on the way. So make sure you're plugged into our website. Subscribe to our newsletter on there so you're getting all the information as it is announced. Super exciting. Glad to be.
And I bet we will have plenty to talk about next week for sure. For me, you can find me on social media at Escobursky and at The Unofficial Guides, or head on over to theunofficialguides.com, where you can now order copies of my 2026 guidebooks. And until next week, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. We will see you again next time. Bye.